Oh, I hear an announcer voice. The celebration of the centuries. Hello everybody, Scott Stinker here, and today, as of recording this, is the celebration of the centuries at Fort George. I'm joined by the close friends who invited me in the first place, Lewis and Alex, who we also went to Comic-Con together, and now there it is. There's the entrance. I've been around Fort George before, but never in it, so we'll wait and see what happens, right? Aye.
Oh yeah. Well.
Not the only waistcoat people. He's got a waistcoat. He's got a waistcoat. I've got a waistcoat. I guess this thing counts as a coat. I guess that's close enough.
If you cut the sleeves off in that, I suppose it can be considered a...
Yeah, I just cut the sleeves off, yeah.
This area in particular, in that during World War II, in that they kept German prisoners of war here, and that.
Whoa!
This area in particular, and that was actually converted into a tennis court.
A tennis court?
For the German POWs.
Oh, that must have been fun.
Yeah.
It'd be hilarious if Andy Murray and some other German were to play tennis here. Oh, wow. And the party's just getting started.
Who wants to see blood?
Hello.
People want to see blood? It could be mine! What about now?
Thank you.
There we go.
Come on, who wants to see a fight?
I think we're here on time.
Okay. Oh, we have the monk here who's just going to bless the fighters in the battlefield.
Always gonna die. Yeah, I beat you at dominoes.
I think he's had a little bit too much of that fortified monk's wine. I should try, yeah. Oh, okay, right, who wants to see a fight?
I do.
Right, who is cheering for Matt on my left?
I have no idea
And
who to
who's
root
cheering
for.
Willie? Oh, Willie seemed to be the favourite today, but it very much comes down to their fighting skills. Okay, 3, 2, 1, fight! Oh, getting second there, Willie with a long sword and a dagger, Matt with dagger and... Oh, and he's pushed Willie off! Give Matt a cheer! Oh, no. Oh, no.
I suppose
I'm being eaten by crocodiles. You are being eaten by crocodiles just now, yeah.
a shield offers more defense capabilities. Although you can do a lot with two swords.
Crocodile infested custard. Okay. Right, so now we have Matt on. Who's going to face Matt? We have the unarmoured peasant Pat stepping forward.
A spear.
So again, quite equally matched here. Both wearing semi-light armour or no armour at all. And how are you feeling about your chances against?
He's got a much bigger, longer one than me.
He does have a longer weapon than you.
What can I say? You're looking equally the parts alongside the other people here.
How are you feeling for your fight?
They might.
Very good.
They probably think you're part of the people here.
Fighting talk there from Pat. Okay, so who think Matt's gonna win? Yeah, a couple down there. And who thinks Pat's gonna win? Oh, what?
Oh, spear.
What have they done to you? And what have you done to them there? Not happy with you?
I don't know what I've said, but I'm coming for you when I finish him.
Oh, that is it. You better hope Matt dies horribly in this performance here. Okay, he's ready? 3, 2, 1, fight! Okay, so Pat with a spear here, staple of the... Oh, and he's pushed Matt off! Give Pat a cheer!
That spear's quite
And
a deadly
he broke
thing.
the bridge with it as well.
The trick is to put the point
What
end into
happened
your
there?
opponent.
It's bridge workmanship. Nothing to do with me. Speak to the builders.
Oh, okay. Pat, that was a resounding victory for you there. Was there any tactics you employed? Strength. Okay, right, now we have Pat on. We've yet to have a person remain on the bridge as a troll. Who's going to take Pat on? Okay, John Hamish, Squire John Hamish stepping forward here. He has
Now that's a Scottish name
very
I've ever
knightly
heard it.
heater shield
John
and a
Hamish.
sword with a skull cap helmet. So, but no body armor.
Sounds right at home to
whatsoever.
me.
But maybe that's his tactic, to fight Pat unarmoured and not slow himself down. So who thinks Pat's going to win?
Oh, bigger shield, I don't know.
And who thinks John Hamish is going to win?
Probably John Hamish, I think.
Oh, pretty balanced out there by cheers for
gonna
the
give this
audience.
guy more of an
Okay,
advantage, I
3, 2, 1, fight!
Buckler's over.
Okay, Pat getting in there. Oh, John Hamish stepped off, he fell in the custard! Oh, you're out, John Hamish!
That spear's
You
tricky
need to
work.
work on your footwork there. Okay, so
Footwork. That's
yeah.
interesting. He had every
If I
tactical
give you
advantage of
this,
shield and armor, but he still
let him have another go.
needs to work on
Let
his
him have another
footwork.
go.
Yeah.
That should be more than sufficient.
Okay,
I didn't see him step off, to be
We'll let
honest.
him have another go. Do you think
I
we
saw
let
it.
John Hamish
He
have another
stepped
go?
off, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, okay, let's let them have another go at it. Now that was a firm... Okay.
Another chance.
Is she next?
She might be. We'll get to her in a second though. Oh good, okay. Right, John Hamish, that was a good lesson for you in watching your footwork there, okay? Very important. Right, are you ready this time? 1, 2, 3, fight! Oh, what has gone on there? So, it looks like the only person remaining Pat has ran away from. Okay, we have a lady on the field here. What's your name?
I'm Boudica.
Oh.
These men have been stealing off my table before the Lord has got to eat.
Oh, that's a serious punishable crime.
Boudica. Oh, that's some competition.
Your ankles, and that way she'll be able to use good footwork.
Okay, so John Hamish, were you stealing food off that table, were you?
Yeah, but I don't want to fight her. If I win, I don't get fed, and if I lose, I don't get fed.
Well, that's just the consequences of your actions now, isn't it? And it is true, Boudica here, you'll see her over in our camp, protecting the food, guarding it with her life, quite literally here on the battlefield. Okay, so who thinks John Hamish here's going to win? Oh, support has dropped for you, hasn't it? And who thinks Boudica here's going to win? Okay, and she is armed with a buckler shield and her most fearsome weapon, a huge wooden ladle. Very unarmoured, got head protection and hand protection on, so keeping her nice and safe. But let's give you a countdown. 3, 2, 1, fight! Oh, she's getting right around and pushing him off! And Boudica wins!
Why do I have the feeling that this is incredibly
Okay,
staged?
so that doesn't have to be the end of it.
Safety,
If any
yeah.
of our
Fair
brave
enough.
people in front of us here think they can beat Boudica, we have one. We have John stepping up to the plate here.
Never liked her cooking anyway.
Oh, what are you going to say to that?
Win or lose, he's not getting fed.
Oh, he doesn't. Looks like he doesn't need fed for a wee while. Yeah. Okay, who is cheering for John? Well, a couple of guys down in the corner there. You do have some support. And who here is cheering for Boudica? Way, right, 3, 2, 1, fight! Oh, good. Oh, that that was a ladle to the chest there. Oh, and John is putting up a fight, but so is Boudica.
Boudica's out.
She's off, and John wins. Give John a cheer.
Woo! Well done.
Right, okay. That leaves John as our overall fighting champion. Okay, now for the next bit. We are looking for a small army, roughly this size. Who thinks they're big enough and strong enough to take on the Knights?
That's us.
Go on, put your hands up if you want to get involved. Come and make your way around to the arena entrance just here while we set up for tug of war.
Tug of war.
We'll get that Bren and Lewis and we'll bring it
And that's
over.
an army of small people. What about you down here? Are you scared of those Knights, are you? Down here?
The Knights are notorious.
Hey, are
They
you
keep
scared of
saying
those
meat
Knights?
for old women.
No? Do you think you could beat them up?
Let's see what else this place has to offer.
Yeah, come on in.
I've got 2 of those.
Right. Oh, you got 2 of them?
I've got an SMLE and a Bren.
Yeah, the 2 of you keep collecting weapons, like prop weapons or like things.
Well, he's more the collector in that. Like all my weapons are airsoft, and his is the real thing.
Just so you know, the Bren's deactivated.
Yeah.
So no one needs to come.
That's a relief. That is a relief.
Not a 53. No, it's not a 53. Not an Enfield.
Look at that, Jacobite era weaponry. There's World War II weaponry, the Napoleonic War weaponry, Jacobite era weaponry, medieval weaponry. It's got it all.
Yeah. Very much the whole half.
Single stick.
Oh, cool. They got swords. This one seems less busy. Let's go over that way. Ah, if I'm not, this is a medieval Tudor kind of period. Look at that. Oh wow, the genuine quilt work, chess pieces and everything. Wow, look at that, arrows and stuff like that. Hey, look at that, spearheads. Wow. Genuine armory there.
Yeah. There was no real mobility.
A few bits and pieces. Aye. There's a bit of wax on the spearhead there.
These are arrowheads.
Arrowheads. Oh, sorry, my mistake. I thought they were spearheads. Right.
No, spearheads are generally a bit bigger.
Oh, okay, right. You would have known, yeah. You would have known. Right. Gosh, those are fierce-looking arrows. That big one, that is a particularly fierce-looking arrow there.
That's a swallowtail.
Swallowtail.
It's a hunting arrow for big game.
Oh, big game.
Yeah.
I certainly love big game myself.
Yeah, if you're going up against boar or deer or something, you want to drop it so it doesn't run too far and you can bring it home for the pot. So you're going to use a big arrow.
I mean, ideally you want to go for the head for a clean shot. The rest. Oh no, actually no, not the head. Like right there between the heart. Yeah, because I mean easier said than done because the skull of a deer is actually quite thick. But if you aim for the heart, it shuts down the whole thing nice and quickly. Silent, quick death. Passes on quite quickly. All right. Fascinating stuff. Very fascinating stuff. All right. Tell us more about the range of swords you got there.
Okay, so we'll start. I'm getting a lot of it.
Right.
We're starting off with the medieval arming sword.
Medieval arming sword.
This is a single-handed weapon. You would see this in the hands of people like Robert Bruce, William Wallace.
All right.
Rather than the big claymores and statues and Hollywood would have you believe.
Oh, so Robert the Bruce and such people actually wielded those kind of swords.
Yeah.
I suppose it was convenient, more easy for.
Well, also at that time, plate armor was incredibly rare and it was still in its infancy. So the main rigid protection against things like arrows and lance thrusts was a heater shield, which went from shoulder to shoulder and shoulder to knee. So that only leaves you one hand for a weapon.
Right. Fantastic. So it must be a fairly light thing, but still sturdy enough for you to use it in combat, as long as you got a good enough grip.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, speaking of grip, the next blade up, this appears in about the middle of the 14th century. Now, one of the techniques you can use with it, it's called half swording, where you grip the blade. Now, if you try and pull it out of my hand,
right?
Now, come on, pull. You're pulling me, but you're not pulling out of my grip.
Oh, right, okay.
Because I'm gripping it tightly, my hand's not sliding up or down, so I don't cut my hand on it.
Oh,
So you
okay.
can use it more like a pole arm at that point.
All right. All right.
So then suddenly you've got a mace, you've got a spike or something to go into eyes, into the neck.
Right.
You've got a stiff dagger.
Right.
But you've not got the space to swing it.
All right.
Do you remember? I saw a documentary where he demonstrated that against a guy in full plate armour, and I think he gave a guy a concussion.
Yeah, you can easily concuss someone.
If you're using the grip, like dunk. Right.
Mordhau, the Germans call it, the murder strike if you hit them with quillions.
Okay.
Mordhau.
Yeah. They also have Kramphau.
Kramphau. Yes.
Down hard. But no, this style of sword, the longsword, appears when plate armor is starting to really evolve and take hold as being quite common. They've moved away from predominantly mail armor. Mail is now more just in patches.
Right.
So onto the foundational garments for the armor.
Right.
And then the rest of the armor is tied on over the top of it and strapped in place.
Right.
Next up, we have
the actual claymore.
Yeah. Now this is very much a 16th century weapon, so...
Yeah, I've held something like this before. It's not as light as it looks.
No, and to be honest, battlefield usage for blades of this sort of size and larger was quite limited, because A, the amount of space you need to swing them, and
yeah.
Yeah, you don't have much space to swing them, and also they're very tiring to use for any length of time, so main use was really for dealing with pipe blocks, whereby you're charging in at the side of the pipe block and at its flank, laying in at the side of this, so you're getting one or two swipes in with this, and then dropping it for something more practical and
right. So if Robert the Bruce and William Wallace and so on and so forth were not prone to using these so often, then who did?
They didn't exist in their era, basically.
Oh, right, fair enough.
You get big swords, but they were very much a ceremonial piece.
All right.
Battlefield usage of swords like this, as I said, basically was 16th century.
Oh, okay.
And more so the latter half of the 16th century at that, when plate armour has fallen out of use because of firearms becoming sufficiently effective.
All right.
How heavy is this?
It's 3 4 pounds, something like that, 4.5 pounds maybe?
Too bad, but I can imagine it's quite...
Yeah.
Once you swing it about a bit.
I think with enough training with lifting weights, I think you could continually wield this, certainly no bother.
But again,
it's get tiring, yeah.
It's tiring, and also there are better weapons that are cheaper and lighter.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
For example,
oh, hello.
Sometimes referred to as a bec de Corbin or the Lucerne hammer.
Oh.
It's a pole hammer. So you've got that for biting into plate armour, a spike at the top for going into the gaps, got a bladed hook there at the back for catching limbs and stuff.
Oh gosh.
And sometimes they'd have a butt spike at the bottom as well, or in this case just a cap for concussive value.
That looks more lethal than all the swords combined.
It is.
Oh, good grief.
And because you're wielding it like this...
Whoa. It's got a long range, it can really pierce you nasty. It's obviously made of a sturdy metal. That's probably the deadliest weapon yet. At least in this selection.
Quite, there are a couple of other variations.
Like, the bigger version, right.
So you have a meat tenderizer, the pole axe, and that's for concussive force into the torso, the head. So even though you're wearing plate armour, you can still have internal bleeding and organs from the force of the impact from the high static shock.
Wait.
If you dent the armour in the chest.
Hang on, wait a minute. That causes internal bleeding?
Well, it's the energy transfer. Also, this one's blunted down a bit. It should be more spiked.
Oh, it would be spiked, right.
It should look like a meat tenderizer. This is just the combat safe version.
Oh, right, got it.
You got an axe blade for people wearing less armour, like padded armour.
All right.
You can break bones with that.
Oh man.
Spike there for getting into gap skin. Spikes there at the side of your sword and point, and also the Q end, where you do most of your fighting with, because it's a lot lighter in terms of the portion of the weapon. That's where you do most of your fighting with. Again, we have a spear tip down there.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Quite thirsty.
Amazing range. So, of all the weapons here, which one do you say would be the best in this selection?
It depends on context, but the one a knight would fear the most would actually be this.
Oh!
Rondel dagger. The idea is that knights, you generally wanted to ransom knights rather than kill them.
Right.
Most of the armour on a knight, you're not cutting through, you're not piercing through all that readily. Maybe get the armpits, maybe get in the groin, but Another target was the face, particularly eye slots in the helmet.
Ah, oh gosh, wow.
And being aware that this was a thing, this was usually how you would get knights to submit. So you could take them prisoner and ransom them back home. Now that was how they established their credibility amongst the other nobles, both nationally and internationally, for political and economic marriages. Because treating someone like a princess does not mean what people imagine it does. You're marrying her off to strengthen your alliance with Poland.
Right.
I remember there's a meme about that.
Yeah, it's rather accurate.
My daughter wanted to be treated like a princess, so I married her off to a Polish princess.
They'll treat you right.
But yeah, so it's the idea is if you're defeated in battle, your armour would be the down payment on the ransom, and you might get taken prisoner there and then, or if it wasn't practical, you would go home, get cleaned up, and then the victor would call upon you, he'd write to you. You would go to his home, he would feed you, he would clothe you, he'd entertain you, and basically you would be the guest of honour until your ransom was paid off. And that was very much how they established their credibility amongst the nobles.
That's interesting. I seem to remember it was very much a code of honour, so you could go home for this. And I remember hearing that, I could get this wrong, at Agincourt that happened with a lot of French knights, as they were allowed to return home, and they actually turned up when they were meant.
Also, for example, Edward III was holding the King of France prisoner for a long time, and they were actually basically best friends. The King of France smell of peat. But because they got their end so well, he ended up saying to the King of France, you can go home early, I trust you to send the remaining payments, and we'll just cross the channel sort of thing. The French prince reneged on the last payment and got help from the King of France, and he went back personally with the payment to make sure his honour wasn't besmirched.
Right.
That's how important it was to them.
Yeah.
So, given what you've told us, perhaps the most effective use of combat would be reasonably light, but not too light. You still want to protect yourself. As long as you don't get hit, you can keep moving and aim for the weak points in the armour.
For example, with that armour, you could actually just ignore a lot of incoming hits, because the armour would just protect you.
Alright.
You'd be aware of them, but that would be about it.
Alright. Okay, well, as long as you protect your weak points from incoming assassins or something, you should be fine, right?
Yeah, because the idea is that you're quite mobile in and of yourself. So,
alright.
So, although it's 50 kilos of armour, it's spread across the body, so it's not nearly as difficult to move in as it appears.
Ah, okay, fair, nice.
It's the sort of thing you have to train for and get used to.
Yeah, I imagine there's plenty of gym workouts and plenty of good protein. Nope.
No. Unfortunately, there aren't any gym workouts that work for this, really.
Oh.
Really? No, what it is you actually have to wear it and get used to wearing it.
Get used to wearing it.
Walk around in it, do everyday tasks
Got the
wearing
gym in
it.
Yeah, there's a gym in it, yeah.
Actually, some folk do for the Battle of the Nations guys that do the full contact combat.
Ah, right.
So they do that, but in general, it was more training in the armour, in the fighting style you were going to be using, was how you prepared to actually wear the armour, because you worked into the training for the combat itself.
Right.
So basically, it's the same thing as wearing a new pair of boots, and you just have to
get used to them.
Yeah.
And
you
to
just
be
have
honest,
to grin and bear it.
If there's any measurement not quite right with a new suit of armour, you want to know before you wear it action for the first time.
And the thing about armour is you would go for multiple fittings and test sessions to make sure it was working and behaving properly, so you would be back and forth between the armour yourself. They would take casts of your limbs, for example, so they could fit it, because it literally has to fit like a second skin.
You don't want to turn up to flawed and then realise, oh, gorgeous a wee bit.
Yeah, tight. This is a bit tight, or that's pinching.
Sword arm.
Yeah, don't do that. It's like you also can't change shape physically, because I haven't worn that armour since before lockdown.
Oh gosh.
The greaves are a bit tight around the ankles now, in a way they weren't before.
The gorget would have protected you.
Well, that's actually not a gorget, that's a bevoir. The gorget does. The bevoir includes lower face protection. The gorget's just for the neck.
Okay, didn't know that.
So yeah, it basically translates as dribble plate.
Okay.
All right. Thanks very much for that explanation. Hopefully, we can all be good knights of faith and with good armor and good movement and getting used to armor.
Oh, as a point of reference, back in the day that would have been about £30–40 worth. Today that translates to about £500,000 worth.
Because things get more worth the more time goes on due to historical significance.
Inflation.
Inflation sucks.
Also, a decent longsword for a knight is basically the equivalent of buying a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or something.
Whoa.
They were not cheap. Lower status people had swords, but they were much cruder. They weren't as nearly well finished.
Yeah.
The finish in the armour as well, because you can see that's a mirror polish. That's about 75% of the cost of the armour is polishing, because they had to largely do it by hand. They did have mills with abrasive tapes basically on pulleys and stuff like a bit like a belt sander almost. But again, that still took a lot of time and effort. You can also mirror polish steel by hand. I know someone that managed to take bare steel up to mirror polish with 1800 grits emery paper on a couch in one evening, but it's not advised. It's time-wise.
Right, thank you very much for that explanation. We'll take all that to heart, and if we ever, for some reason, get to wear sword and armor somehow, we'll take that advice to heart. Thank you so much. Here we have making stuff in pen and ink using feather quills. And oh, people are putting on armor. There's more arrows, and there's blacksmith crafting material here. Hey, yeah, you were the people jousting earlier.
Fighting, yeah.
Yes,
You were out there earlier?
that's right. That's right. All right, I see.
We're not smithing, we're fighting.
We're not smithing, we're fighting. Yeah, that seems to be an accurate summary of their kind of lifestyles, right? All right. So, what are the tools of your trade here?
Well, the tools of the trade. Hammer and tongs, we make the world.
Hammer and tongs make the world.
Yes. We made everything. We make everything from big cauldrons to the stuff over the forge to all those little rivets in that helmet on that armor set.
All right. Leather. You've also taken some time to gather the material like the leather and the metal in order to work with it in the first place.
It would have been expensive as well. Because metal was relatively rare. Good metal was relatively rare.
Right.
So getting a good eating knife for an overnight, or a master smith as it pleases him.
People used to eat just with the knives before forks were even introduced.
Yes, in this part of the world, people were eating with knives, their fingers, spoons, and skewers. In other parts of the world, they were using forks. And other parts of the world still,
chopsticks. Right. They came prepared for that question, didn't they? You really do think of everything in advance. All the possible contingencies and plans.
Yeah.
Ah, the classic chainmail.
Oh yeah, chainmail. I was just ripping off the glove, but I'll show you now. Chainmail is made by making lots of little rings, pulling them, and then bending them into shape.
Aye. Very flexible stuff.
Yeah, they can. However, their downfall is they only protect against slashing. So if I smash a man's shoulder with
a hammer or something,
sword, if I bring my sword down on his shoulder, he'll still have his shoulder, he just won't have a bone.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah. And after the development of chainmail, archers came to us, the blacksmiths, because their arrows were no longer getting through. So
right.
we made bodkins.
Oh.
They pierced through chainmail, and as they were fired, forced the rings apart.
That would have hurt.
Preventing the chainmail from being effective. Then the knights came to us because the arrows were getting through their chainmail, so we made them plate armor.
Yeah, we were seeing plate armor from just over that tent earlier.
Plate armor. Yeah. Oh my god. So, that's butted. So
that's the Tesco value mail.
that is
Tesco value.
Tesco value butted mail. This, a lot more expensive, riveted mail.
Ah, I really need to get those oven gloves. Why don't you get one of those, Lewis?
Oh, it's slightly more protective. Tesco.
That chain of mediocre Smiths that operate down the coast.
Oh, I've heard of them, they're rubbish. So this is a mitt, so it doesn't actually have all the fingers. I hate wearing mitts because I love having motion control.
You still get motion control with that.
Oh, not a lot.
Now that I think about it, I think that'd be the worst thing to have an oven mitt in that, because obviously the hot metal will just melt.
Yeah, it would.
Like when you take it out of the oven, it'll just be like glowing.
Well, I mean, keep in mind, you're only taking food in and out. You're not using it for anything else.
If you're taking food in and out with chainmail, it's not. First off, it's not making contact long enough.
I mean, it's the same reason we don't make extended contact with other oven mitts. They would just fry up and burn.
And
no
whatever
oven
you're cooking
heats
requires
hard
you to
enough.
have metal on the back of your hands. I think you need to either hit it harder with that rolling pin before you cook it, or cook it a little bit longer.
I don't know. It might make a fine source of iron.
But unless you like the challenge, your food isn't usually supposed to fight back.
Yeah. That's true. But you never know. The food might fight back one day. We have to be prepared for that kind of occasion.
They do have boars around
Right.
Loch Ness.
Pardon?
They do have wild boars around Loch Ness. They're becoming a bit of a problem.
That's why the spears that they use for hunting boar have a cross piece just behind the head.
Because if they don't, the
when
wild
that boar decides it wants to hunt you and run up that spear and bite you to death, it hits that cross piece and can't go any further.
All right, fantastic.
Another solution brought to you by blacksmiths.
Hey!
We don't have one of those in Brora. Huh? We don't have one of those in Brora, it's a shame. You've got in Brora.
Now we still got a fair share of smithies these days. Got our shoe smiths, our stuff for making our watches. Not that the historical people would know what that kind of thing would be, unless you're.
For our period, we're the ones doing all of that. We're dreaming that stuff up. You want something?
Yeah.
Metal. We're the ones doing it.
We're
the ones with the skill.
Here's some advice from the future. Right. Advice from the future. Don't get too hyped up. The tool is only as effective as those using it. Also, that guy is crafting something.
Yeah, he's our leather worker.
Have a talk. He's our leather crafter.
Ah, by all means, let's talk to him. Thank you very much for the blacksmithers. Keep it up.
So I'm just putting a belt on this apron, and it's for the Napoleonics, for the sappers, so protect their uniforms when they're working, either building fortifications or if they're assaulting somewhere and they didn't want to get the uniform dirty with blood and stuff. They'd go ahead of Napoleonic musket armed guys, and they'd have two-handed axes, work tools, and they would batter down doors, so not only build fortifications, they were there to remove them as well.
I take it you made the apron too?
No, I modified it.
Ah.
I have to stay on now. It was because it was cheaper to actually buy one of these already pre-cut. Jamie, hi. Can you just check this and see if I've got enough holes in the right place? Yes, of course.
So by the time the Napoleonic soldiers got that, it would be about 400 years old.
All right.
You need some more drinks. Yeah. Oh yeah, it'll be thick as well, won't it?
What an interesting looking gorge that guy has. Made of a revolutionary material there.
Yes, I believe they call it plastic.
Oh, plastic. Wasn't that the stuff made from dinosaurs of old?
Got something similar to that at home.
A crossbow?
But his is nicer.
All right.
Well, when it comes to the Viking swords, you have the...
Oh, medieval snacks and stuff like that. Oh, quite the feast you got there.
Yes. This is a modern representation of the foods they would have had back then. As you can see, not a lot has changed, just a few of the cooking processes.
Right.
Like the jelly that the good Lord is tucking into right now would have been done with more apples and sugar for the natural pectin.
Right.
Which means it's
Ooh.
like jelly
Jelly.
more than jam.
Right, yeah. Plenty of meats, plenty of nice bread with seeds in them.
Yep, so we've got these seeded ones and some basic white ones. We've got our pork pies, and again, the cooking process for them. For today, we can eat the pastry. Back then, it was made from a salt dough.
Right.
Which was very, very bitter and generally blackened from being in the fire.
Right.
So it was just to keep the meat juicy and tender.
Right. What kind of foods would the northern lands would have gained access to back in the day? Obviously, berries, the fruits like apples.
So we've got our berries, our blackberries, we've got some nuts, we've got some any veggies that we can get out of the ground.
Grapes, berries. There's plenty of brambles and berries that grow to this day in certain areas.
The grapes would have had to be transported out from the likes of France.
Oh, of course.
On the Lord's
So it was
Day
very early food trading, right?
Yeah.
Gosh.
And our good traveller here behind us, Patrick, has brought us back some nice spices, and the good gentleman here has brought us some back too.
All right.
This is nice pepper.
Oh, nice. I take it you the trade brought you some apricots too, right?
They did, yes.
Right. I was gonna say the apricots didn't grow naturally in Scotland. Apples would have, but not so much apricots.
No, so the Lords, because these were seen as peasant food as they grew off of trees, bushes.
Oh, apricots did grow around Scotland.
No, I'm just saying when they came to us, they were seen as peasant.
Oh, right.
So I could eat these as I'm a common woman.
Right.
The good Lord, if I offered them to him, would probably tip me with them.
This trade must have been very successful for that to be warranted as peasant food.
Yeah, so anything that grew out of the ground off the trees is seen as peasant food, no matter where it kind of came from, apart from these, because these were seen as well.
Ah, right. Because the grapes would have been associated with the wine, associated with the fine living, yeah.
Yes. So the commoners like myself would have had the offcasts such as these.
Hello, my gracious and beautiful Boudica. It's a waste of food.
Didn't fight me today.
They wouldn't let me, and you I would beat you.
Oh, really? That's
and they thought I was wasting away. They thought I was wasting away too much. I need feeding.
So these horrible people have been picking off the table for our lords. That one especially.
Oh man.
So I had to go and have a little bit of a tussle with them.
I don't know. He seems to be working hard at the blacksmithies earlier. He's worked so hard at the blacksmiths, he can't tell a height differentiation.
I've had to booby trap my kitchen to keep them out.
It would have worked against me.
Even though I'm one of the shortest here, I still managed to knock myself I don't know how many times. But sometimes it works.
Right. Good to know the intricacies of early food trading. When did it begin, this food trading?
I am unsure.
You would have seen it. There's evidence for the Greeks, the Romans were doing street food.
Ah, right. Of course.
The Romans did actually have pizza.
Yeah, of course, yeah, because the Italians invented pizza, right?
Yeah, well, interestingly, I believe that Romans were actually the first ones who sort of kind of invented the concept of fast food in that.
Oh!
Because the thing was is that Roman apartments were very sort of really quite cramped in that. So most people ended up eating outside in that at local establishments and that.
Right.
How they keep the sort of meat keep all the meat and all that stuff fresh in it is that they actually keep it in like these large sort of like vase-like containers in it.
Right.
And yeah, most of the time they just eat on the streets.
Right. I take it they would have had their pastries made from the milk from the cows and the wheat from they go from the fields.
Yeah, they actually discovered this quite recently. I think it was like about only like 5 years back, and that they actually found like people actually dug up the remains of like Roman shops and that, and they discovered that like that there may be a possibility that Romans like it may have invented the modern concept of fast food.
Oh wow. And so the trade went on from there. I see they're making some nice soup. Let me guess, that's a nice carrot and turnip soup.
Carrot, turnip, if it's some leek in there, if it's some lentils and some ham bones.
Ham bones?
Yes.
You put bones in your soup?
It gives helps flavour stuff.
Oh, okay.
Because the marrow will leach out of the bone.
Ah.
It's a long process. You can leach out a good amount of flavour.
All right.
So if a lord's being generous, he might be willing to leave some meat on the bone. And then
I imagine it would be quite fun to find the bone itself and just chew on it like a dog.
By the time you get into it, it would probably have lost any nutrients.
Oh wow.
To be fair, the peasants and the dog might fight over it for our entertainment.
Right.
So, excuse me. So like, is that like chocolate there?
No, that's like.
And this is pate.
Pate, yes, pate, yes.
So you see this from various game birds.
All right.
Sometimes animal, cattle and such like as well.
So it's meat. Yeah. So like how is it like in the shape that it is?
Not too bad, thanks.
Just because they decided to make it into that shape. I mean, you might well see cooks putting them into interesting shapes. They might put them into the shape of a bird if they've got time.
All right.
The bird it's made from, or into fantastical animals like a dragon or a unicorn.
Or a phoenix.
So it's quite so it's quite flexible material for meat.
Yeah, it'd be easy enough to cut, but getting the shape would need a chef with a decent amount of time, which again would be a sign of wealth.
That's why I'm taking the...
Would you have managed to gather your own nuts, or would you have acquired the trade for that?
Peasants would probably do that. I mean, as you'd imagine, you would see a huge number of different trades. People aren't going to offices and stuff, so you'll find people doing all manner of things.
Right.
It's useful for them to go foraging because it supplements their diet.
Right.
As well as if they get a particularly good number of fruits and nuts, they might be able to sell it to a local lord.
The second time.
Did they used to have like other forms of like did they also have like have like cashews back then, or
that probably would have come from the trade, right? Cashews actually come from fruit, fun fact.
It must be she's got it on the table.
Possibly.
Right.
I don't quite remember the provenance for cashews.
I've got one last question. Would there have been big, bulky people back then? If so, how would they have gained enough nutrition to get to that? Maybe
Most likely they'd be rich.
Knights, right. Basically just lots of that kind of stuff.
It would probably be men like me, because I've got the time and I've got the money to just eat pork and foods. And
Dedication.
and I'm very rarely eating vegetables.
Right. Thank you very much for your insight in the foods, in the culinary. Thank you.